All right. About in here. Okay.
I don't care if you got bad credit. I'll show you how to remove bad. I know you want that. Jay, to breathe the first thing that the Lord.
All right. All right. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good night. Wherever you at. Wherever you're listening, whatever time it is. It's Pastor P. Back tonight with a little discussion. Very curious to know about this. I think that it is a pretty intriguing topic. I guess the question is, why or is it more acceptable for a woman to opt out of womanhood versus a man opting out of fatherhood? I think that it's just one of those things where we have discussed a myriad of times on this broadcast on how there is a double standard. If a woman doesn't want to be a mother, in a lot of cases, she could make a decision to rather be a mother or not to be a mother. And you don't get much criticism from it, as opposed to a man that opts out of fatherhood. He's looked at as all kinds of things, deadbeats, and all of those different things like that, which I don't agree with a man opting out of fatherhood. I think that fatherhood is very vital for a man to be involved with his children and not running away from that, because I think community and society today, there are a myriad of men that are not in their children's lives. A lot of them they just have the kids and they fail to father them. And I think that fatherhood is extremely important, especially to the children. And it also helps the man with his growth as an individual. Fatherhood works both ways, but of course, it's vital to, I guess, exemplify fatherhood. Mother's mother role is very important as well. I think that it's that way because of that double standard. You'll have a young lady that is or don't want to be a mom and says, "Hey, I really don't want to. I don't want to do this. I don't want this responsibility. I don't care to, take care of no baby right now. This was an accident. I don't want to do this." And they pull out of that. And either way, either they pull out by the way of aborting the child or just giving up the child. And society looks at that, and say, well, she might be overwhelmed, or, this may be going on, that may be going on. However, when it's the view or the scope is changed, and the man is not ready for fatherhood or don't want to be a father, and all those different things like that. A lot of times the scope is different, and it's men are condemned, which again I definitely don't agree with a man not taking care of his child or opting out of fatherhood. I definitely don't agree with uh, any men not being in their children's lives, because I'm a I'm an advocate for fathers being in their children's lives, no matter what. But the view, and it's weird that it's so many double standards, and for that one, society just dictates that. Tells us, if that child, and I agree, if that father doesn't, take care of that child and don't want to be involved, is certainly a deadbeat. However, on the contrary, or on the flip side of it, you'd have a female young lady, a woman, that says, "Hey, look, I don't want nothing to do with mothering. I mean, give my child to my grandmother or my mom or whoever." And you will see that a lot of times when women opt out of parenthood, they would give their children to their mother or grandmother or aunt or whatever the case may be, to get out of that realm of mothering the child. And then when the child is old enough to, whatever, or the child becomes successful, a lot of times people try to re-enter into the child's life after they became something or become something, which is it's not fair to the child. It's strange that people would do that, and a lot of celebrities, man. Their father wasn't there at all, and then as soon as they start making all this money, then they start coming around trying to say, "Oh, hey, that's my son, or that's my daughter," he or she, be like, "Well, hey, look, you didn't raise him." And a lot of times, kids go through a system, like foster care, all that stuff like that, adoption and all that stuff like that, which I'm not knocking any of it. If a person isn't ready to raise, or if the child is better in the hands of someone else, I think that if that's what needs to be done, that needs to be done. But I think the view of it is very controversial. The view of it is controversial based upon the theory of, if a mother does it, she's struggling in her mind, or she's getting wore out, or she can't handle it. But if a father does it, he's a terrible man. he's a deadbeat. It's funny how it's extremely funny how how we look at life, and then in the scope of different eyes of situations where, I mean, just like we was talking about before, how if a man hits a woman, that's like grounds for, somebody's about to, take this guy out. Actually, recently, there's a video of this guy that hits this woman, man. I mean, like punching her, punching her, and the son of the woman came and shot the guy, and he shouldn't have been putting his hands on her in the first place. But anyway, to get back on the track of things, if a woman was to hit the guy, you know what I mean, it's a different look on it. And obviously we know that, men, we're made differently. Obviously women are, a lot softer. But you do have some women that hit like men, you know. So if you do have a woman that hit like a man, should she be in that category? But again, that's one of those things when it comes down to having that double standard. But I think that either way, And I guess it's hard for, people to see, the mindset or the mentality of a guy that just backs out of wanting to be a father. Like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't want to do this, and whatever like that. And I guess because the man carries the seed, it's like, oh, you have to, have that involvement with that child. You have to be there, and X, Y, Z. But on the contrary, if there's a woman that did the same thing, it's not the same approach, or it's not the same outlook, which it's pretty interesting to see that, or to hear about it, because it happens a lot. I've seen it on both sides, and I've heard the same thing on both sides. I hear, that if the guy doesn't take care of that child, or if he opts out of the fatherhood, he's like, man, people are looking at him strange, or telling him that, he's wrong, and, he shouldn't do that. He should be there, which, again, like I said before, I agree. I think that every father should be in their child's life. I don't think any father should opt out from being in the child's life. I don't think that the father should be reluctant to spend time, or to take care of the child, the needs of the child, anything like that, because he don't want to do it. But then on the contrary, a woman does it, but it's not as much, I guess, pressure, if you will, because the pressure when it comes down to discussing parenthood, and fatherhood, motherhood, the pressure of that, a lot of the taking care of the responsibility piece is geared toward the father. And if he tries to opt out, he's definitely going to be on the hit list, the blacklist, the striking list, and every other list. Let's see. We have one reviewer says, maybe because she carried the child. Well, I could see that. However, the out view, or the overview, and the whole scope of things, when a person has a child, or if a woman is pregnant with a child, and in her mind, she's like, well, I'm not ready to be a mom. She can make a decision, and a lot of people can back that decision. But if a man has a child and he say, look, I'm not ready to be a father, I don't think I want to do this. I want to step away from that. I think he's fought a lot more. He's looked down upon. He has all these stigmas, and all of these different phrases, and all these different labels, if you will. He's labeled because of the fact that he isn't there, or he doesn't want to. I've seen people, even men. I've seen a lot of men that said they just wasn't ready. I don't want to. I don't want to have a child. So my theory is, if you don't want to have, if you don't want to have a child, then you probably shouldn't do things that get children here. Because it's a very strong possibility, if you're doing things that could potentially get a child here. It's an extremely strong possibility that that could occur, and the child could come. So if you don't want children, or if you don't want to be a father, or if you don't want to be a mother, then it probably would be ideal to try to prevent those things, or preventing the actions that could cause a child to come in the picture, if you're not ready. And this is why, even when people are married, I think it's wise to plan out your life with your spouse. I think that planning out, hey, let's start having kids, you know, next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Let's start planning and working that out, because I'm not really ready to be a father right now, or I'm not ready to be a mother right now. Let's take our time, and try to. A lot of times, when people get married, they don't really have any guidance or any yeah, well, I'll just stick with guidance. They don't have any guidance on which direction to go in regards to children. Most case scenario, when people as soon as they get married, sometimes the babies just come and come. But I think it's wise to kind of sit down and talk. Hey, let's have a child. Next year, let's have a child. 3 years from now, let's plan this thing out, because planning, could prevent people from opting out of being parents. So if we plan to have, 2 kids in 3 years, or, whatever, if we plan it, then it could, happen, right? And a lot of times, we don't plan it. We just get married and, just start having babies, rather the mother is ready or not, or rather the father is ready or not. They just kind of have the kids. And, a lot of times, man, people get overwhelmed from having multiple kids back to back, and the mom is taking care of the kids, and the father is working taking care of kids, and mom's home stressed out because she got these many babies, because there was no planning, there was no, and then, man, I've seen, man, and one lady, I think she had like 5 or 6 kids. This was some years ago, man, and I think she took the kids out, killed the kids, because I guess she couldn't handle the pressure of being a mom to all of these different kids, and she didn't have a break and all of that stuff like that. So that's why I say I think that it's very wise to make sure that if you are having children, to make sure that the children are planned out, and if they're going to be here, to make sure that you have the ability to mother or father those children, because opting out of fatherhood or opting out of motherhood, it has a strong impact on the child. And don't be like, as I stated earlier, don't be like, some folks, they wait until the child is, highly progressed in life and made a name for themselves, and then they come back in their life and like, hey, I'm trying to, I want to build a relationship with you, after they done became wealthy, or after they've become this, whatever prominent figure. So again, I think that on both sides of the fence, I think that opting out, I mean, although it's viewed differently, we do know that. We know that if a father is not there, or if he says he's not ready to be a father, he don't want to be a father, of course, people look at that and talk bad about it. But if it's the other way around, if it's a female or a woman, it's not much said about it. You know what I mean? And I think the preventive measures is the key to not having the thought or the ability to go with this area of, I don't want to be a mother. You know what I mean? I'm pregnant already, but I don't want to be a mother. She's pregnant already, and you're like, man, I don't want to be a father. And how does that feel? From the viewers here, how would you feel if you were pregnant with a child, and the father says, I'm not ready to be a father, or I don't want to be a father? How would you feel about that as a woman, and you're pregnant with your child, and you're the guy that has you pregnant, he's like, hey, look, I'm not trying to be a father right now. I don't want to be a father. This not real. This was a mistake. This shouldn't have happened. How would that make you feel? Would you feel like he's a deadbeat, or because people, in all actuality, there are a lot of people that just aren't ready to parent. You got kids having kids. Like, you got like 14, 15-year-old parents. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, man, I really, I didn't mean to do this. I don't want to be, I don't want to be a dad, or I don't want to be a mom. I'm only 16. You know what I mean? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be that mother. I don't want to be that waking up, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and, fixing bottles and whatever. And then, the guy's like, well, I don't want to be spending all my money on Pampers and milk and wipes and all of that stuff like that. So what do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts about that? Um, I gave my thoughts. I think that the key is to plan it out. And if you're gonna plan it out, just make sure you follow through with your plan. If you think that being a father is what you want to do and when you want to do it. So you want to plan it out, saying, look, 2029. You know what I mean? I'm ready. I'm gonna be ready because I got everything set up. And you have certain people, man, that were and is very successful simply because they have planned. And I think, most case scenario, most people fail at a lot of things in life because there isn't any planning going on. Like, we don't plan anything. Everything just a flow. Whatever happens, happen. If I'm going to do this, it's just going to happen. It's not a plan. I think that, a lot of times we fail at this thing called life, where we have a lot of hiccups in life because we don't plan a lot. And I think that planning is very essential to a successful life. Um, all right, one of our viewers says, all I can say is be careful. I wouldn't put myself in that situation now. Yeah, I agree. I think that being careful and being wise, making the right decisions, making the right choices so that you won't be in that place or in that position of, hey, I want to opt out of this. I don't want to, be involved in this, especially not right now, and you do have, how you have a lot of like real life situations, especially like somebody's going to college, you're in your last year of college and you got these big plans to work for whatever company and all this stuff like that, and then you just get pregnant. It's like, man, where's my career going to go? Or why can't I ain't gonna be able to do this because I'm pregnant? I ain't gonna be able to do that because I'm pregnant. I really don't want to be a mom right now because I want to have a successful future. I want to be able to be this lawyer. I want to be able to be this doctor. I want to be able to be this entrepreneur. But I got pregnant, so now it's going, it's slowing me down. I really don't want to, I really want to opt out of this. And so, and I want to ask y'all a question. Do you think it's fair for a woman to get pregnant and the mother and father both kind of opt out, and then, grandmama or, the grandma or auntie or somebody gets the child and got to raise them because, mom's not ready to be a mom and dad's not ready to be a dad? Like, what do y'all think about that? Do you think that's fair? Personally, I don't think it's fair because I think that if a person, if you're out there engaging in those type of activities, you got to keep in mind that there is a strong possibility that a child could come forth out of this. So the chances are very high that we could possibly or potentially have a child coming out of this. And so I don't think that although it happens a lot of times. I think the good thing is that there is a relative that's capable of keeping that child and keeping the child in the family, so they wouldn't have to go off to anything other than that. Like other cares or adoption agencies and all of that stuff like that, so that there'd be somebody in there that could help out. So, but anyway, when it comes down to this opting out behavior, although it's something that's it's a big thing now. This is something that's happening all across the country. You know what I mean? People they don't want to be parents. And a lot of times nowadays, the parents ain't really parents to their children anyway. They like their best friends or their homies, which I don't agree. I don't agree with that either. I think that a parent has a role to parent the child, and sometimes when you become a friend with your child, then you'll lack a lot of discipline the child, wouldn't look at you as their disciplinary person. They'll look at you as their homie. Oh, that's my homegirl. That's my homeboy. You know what I mean? My dad he ain't gonna say nothing to me because we cool. My mom ain't gonna say nothing to me because we cool. You know what I mean? So I think that while children are being brought up, I think it's very wise to make sure that that child is being a child and being parented by the parent, and not so much as they're on the equal page or the same line, and I can't tell you to do anything because we so cool. And when you get to that time, man, or we ever get to that place, it's hard to retract. It's hard to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. We're not friends. You're my daughter. I made a mistake. We're not friends. You're my son. If you ever get that far with a child, man, it's going to be real hard to kind of separate and bring it back into the stage of, that's just, that's a parent and that's a child of the parent. Especially, you become friends. I'm not saying don't have a good relationship with them, but when sometimes you can have a friendship with them that's too friendly to where correction, or when it's time to hey, look, I need you to do this, or hey, look, you need to do that. It kind of get a little shaky, like, oh, who you talking to? You know what I mean? I ain't got to do that. So I encourage y'all that be friends with your children and stuff like that. I encourage y'all to kind of make sure that you're parenting the child and not trying to be their best buddy or their best friend. So. But man, look, so I appreciate everybody getting on tonight. This was a pretty decent dialogue to talk about, looking at two sides of, acceptance from the standpoint of society accepting, the facts of a woman opting out versus a man. I think that again, I don't agree with the father not being a father. I don't agree with the father opting out. But it's intriguing how things are viewed, and a lot of things are viewed weirdly when it's the female versus the male outlook. So it's like, oh man, some cases men get away with certain things and women are held to a different standard. Like, hey, I mean, why would you do that? And you're like, well, he did it. Why is there a standard there? And the same concept, a man could do something and a woman could do the same thing, and the woman is okay with it and the man's not. So that's just a different type of views that we be trying to talk about here tonight. So, but you guys have a good night. Certainly appreciate you guys getting on here, inspiring smiles and behaviors through great talks. Follow the page. Look me up on YouTube and follow the YouTube page. So we got an agenda here to help folks out. So everybody have a good night. Thanks.